everybody, and welcome to the Old Moon Podcast, episode 70. I don't even have to ask this time because I remember the last one was 69, you know? Nice. And so I know this one's 70.
It's 69 easy. Plus 1.
Easy peasy, yeah. Episode 69 plus 1. Wait, can I redo it and do that? That's what I'm going to do. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Old Moon Podcast, episode 69 plus 1.
Nice.
Yeah.
This is my joke.
Edit it out.
This is my joke. I'm your host, Blue Squadron, who makes all the jokes and steals literally no content from anyone else. Joined by J-Kun.
Hi, my name is J-Kun VT, not Jae Kim. I do a lot of endgame content such as Olins, dungeons. You can find me live over at twitch.tv/J-Kun VT, V before the T.
No shot. Is it because people have been calling you Jay lately?
Okay, people were telling me like, oh, why is Blue always dogging on you? You keep saying Jay. I'm like, oh, he's probably referring to Jae Kim, or maybe he's referring to, I don't know.
No,
I guess some people still don't.
I'm talking
still
about
don't
you,
understand
buddy.
that when you say Jay. Yeah.
Don't worry. When I say fire Jay, I mean from his church-going job. Fire him. Gone. Turboed. All right. Yeah, J-Kun VT, V before the T. No PvP.
No. Yup.
All right, and my boy Blonde Bear.
Hello, I'm Blonde Bear, and I like to party.
Yup.
Okay, all right. Well,
let's go.
Our first topic of the day. Apparently, I'm just gonna carry today. That's fine. Some of us came to play. Our first topic of the day is, Jay, you want to talk about early access in video games. Why is it a good or bad thing? And would BDO benefit from early access? I'm just going to go ahead and lead this off. No, it would not. We already have Korea has early access to everything we do. Introducing the idea that we have to further delay the real release of the game in the West so that we can give the non-poor people access first and then give the poor people access later is really bad idea, in my opinion. Early access kills the hype for a lot of video games, mainly because it's the only access. Like, especially as like a streamer or just like anybody playing the game, I feel like you're almost required to buy the early access if you want to experience the content with everyone else. Because otherwise, all of the content is spoiled 3 days or whatever before you actually get a chance to play it, and then it's just not as fun. All the hype for it is killed. We saw this recently with the World of Warcraft expansion. We saw this recently with literally every single possible thing that Black Desert Online has ever released. Releasing first in Korea and then here. But I'm curious what your thoughts on it, Jay, since you brought it up. Jay, do you have a different opinion on early access?
I think it depends on what the main purpose of the early access is for, because there's some games that did early access really, really well. And so like a really good example would be Baldur's Gate 3 by Larian Studios. I had not personally played the early access of Baldur's Gate 3, but I think most people can agree that it's one of the most polished games out there on release, and a lot of people attribute it to the early access of Baldur's Gate 3, where they just had Act 1, right? They didn't have Act 2 and Act 3, but they just built upon all of the feedback and the overall gameplay experience, and then pushed it forward towards the end of the acts and stuff like that. So it's like one of the best games out there. I played it with Blonde Bear. We still need to do our campaign probably, right?
Yes.
So but yeah, again, as on the other hand, though, there are cases where the feedback doesn't seem to be the priority of the early access, or it's sometimes like sold as an incentive and as a way for players to play earlier than everyone else. And again, like as you mentioned before, the newest expansion of World of Warcraft, the War Within, there was some people that were even claiming that World of Warcraft War Within was pay to win or borderline pay to win, since when it was officially released to everybody, there was actually some leveling nerfs, and so that was a whole like debacle. And so people were arguing like, oh, if you paid more money than everyone else to gain early access, those players just had an easier time, right? And those who didn't play for early access, then they had a harder time. And so I think most of us understand the idea of like the pay to win and stuff like that, right? So I guess the best way to put it is that we all kind of like draw the line a little bit closer, a little bit farther. So for example, I'm gonna use Path of Exile here because I think it's a great example. So in Path of Exile, you cannot buy any form of extra power for your character. You can only like buy cosmetics and stuff and more like in-game storage. But then some people argue that buying in-game storage is considered pay to win because more storage means more items and you get to sell more things and you get to buy power with that and stuff like that. So in BDO, I would maybe draw the line a little bit closer to that, where you can just buy costumes, you can turn into crons to do attempts or sell it for money and stuff like that. But I think I'm digressing, but yeah, to bring it back, I think early access for me, I'm more on the generally positive side of early access if the main reason for the early access is to receive feedback. And then if we put it in BDO's thing, I mean, okay, you mentioned that how Korea is getting like the early access version of it. I guess you could view it in that way, but also what if the early access was instead of just Korea, it's everybody. And so I'm like thinking I feel like we haven't done that before yet. So before we say it's a bad thing, I think maybe it could benefit. We could try it, and then if it does work, poggies. But if it doesn't work, then now we know, right? Because we haven't done that yet. It, like, again, Korea has always gotten the quote unquote early access, and they don't, they get to get the feedback in. But I mean, in the past, you've always talked about, hey, what about our feedback, right? And so I'm just thinking, if we have everybody have the early access, right, quote unquote global release, then maybe it could be a good thing for BDO. I don't know. What do you think, Blumbear? What's up?
Yeah, I kind of agree with both of you guys. I think that when it comes to early access, generally I too am on the favorable side, except when it comes to MMOs. I feel like the whole excitement and wonder of MMOs is like, you're maybe taking a day off or you're setting some time aside so you can play with your friends and you all group up and chat and play. And the World of Warcraft expansion having like an early launch, and it was just kind of like, EXP rates got nerfed. They figured out all the bugs so that everybody that was in early got advantage of everything, and then everybody that came in late got all the nerfed EXP, the nerfed rates, the harder dungeons. And it's like, when you think about pay to win is like a tough concept, but like pay to get an advantage, it's like, oh yeah. And there's forms, like you said, where we draw the line at certain spots. Like, I don't mind if someone's getting a cool skin or a cool this or a cool that in some games, but when it comes to like accessing the game earlier, and that means they have that many more alts leveled for the new raids or dungeons or whatever, I feel like that becomes complicated. But when we're talking about other games, there's plenty of other games that have done really well off of early access. Basically anything that's not an MMO. I feel like one of the
Yeah.
I feel like there's tons of games like Baldur's Gate, like 100% I agree. There was also First Ascendant. They received a ton of feedback that fixed that game in the early alphas and betas a year prior, but that's not really early access. I guess it's more of a beta. I'm okay if there's that kind of stuff in a game where it's wiped and then everybody gets the launch on the same time. But I feel like it becomes complicated when it's an MMO, because the whole point is like the MMOs are meant to be time sinks, massive time sinks, and if someone gets even a little bit ahead in the beginning, it could be like a massive push forward. I mean, we even see it through BDO eras when certain people are ahead of the curve, and then the new stuff comes out, they're even more ahead of the curve because they're already in those spots versus other people being a little bit behind or whatever. Those advantages felt really big in the early game, not really so much now, but
yeah. So I'm just gonna take the very firm stance that early access is just a huge L.
Even
just
in
a
non-MMOs,
massive
you think?
Yeah.
I do
'cause
agree
it's-
that the hype dies down.
Imagine
but
early
there are
access Wukong by a week. Imagine if you could have bought Wukong a week sooner than everyone else. And
Oh,
think
you
of
mean
how
like
much
paying
hype.
extra to get ahead
Correct.
of the
Well, that's what
normal
early
release in
access
general?
means. That's what
Well,
early
I guess in my
access
mind
means.
is that the early access is like like when Baldur's Gate was coming out, and you could technically buy the first act. I think there are some forms where I agree it does lessen the hype, but if that company I don't know how the companies work, but if dev companies need more money to push more investment time into a game, like for example, Baldur's Gate 3 is like a massive success on that angle, and there's tons of like indie games. I think indie games do that really well, where they're like early access, and then they keep pushing updates till they get a full release, rather than here's the release and then there's like no content updates. I feel like games feel a little emptier that way, but I do agree for bigger releases like that. I'm kind of on par with you.
Yeah,
I think it doesn't work out for those games because the whole culture is the YouTube and Twitch sphere of like the community watching it all together, and then it just like the game could die out in a week because everybody's seen it and played it and they're done.
Here's a question. Would you rather have what we have now, where Korea gets everything first for the most part, and then we all get it at the same time later, or have everyone get things at the same time, but you can spend $60 and have access to the expansion a week sooner. Jay, I'll start with you.
I think that's a different case. I think that, so what, for my case, I'm taking early access as more of like on the beta side, like the beta and alpha side, where people get to test things earlier. As Blonde Bear said, like it, like you get to get the feedback in, and then once it gets fully released, like nothing from what we had early access has like carried over. Like everybody like starts at the same time. It's just that the people who got to experience it earlier got to send in the feedback, and so it like became that's kind of like how Baldur's Gate did it. So maybe we're just like we're like a little bit on the different pages of the same book, where for me it's more about the feedback rather than getting to get early. You know, I guess maybe when you think of early access, you just think of, you know, getting to play it earlier, and then you get to continue off that playthrough. But for me, I'm more thinking of early access as a way to provide feedback, and then once it's fully released, then we get to experience it. You know, everybody gets to experience the same thing from the start.
If you had to choose, though, like everyone gets the expansion at the exact same time, but you can pay to have access $60 to have 1 week extra access, or Korea gets it first and the rest of us get it, like, you know, a couple weeks later or a month later or whatever, but it's free. Which one would you rather have?
I'd rather have A, but I'd rather choose A, but also I'd rather choose C over A, if that makes sense, over B. And C would be everybody just gets to play it. But you didn't give me that choice,
like,
so I'm just going to choose A.
Everyone to be happy all the time and never have any problems.
Exactly.
I choose option C. Not have anyone be unhappy for any reason. Okay, you suck at helping me with engagement. Juan, I need you to take a strong stance on this. Which one would you rather have?
Okay, well, since you gave me A or B, sorry. Go ahead, Blonde.
No. Finish your answer. I want to hear this.
No, I was gonna say, since you only gave me A or B, and A is obviously going to be the more. Obviously, I don't want like people to. Again, we just talked about the World of Warcraft thing, and that was like a whole debacle. So I'm gonna lean more on the side of A more than B. Go ahead, Blonde.
Wow, Jay selling out. Yeah. As a fellow content creator and as someone who, you know, is monetarily influenced, obviously your answer is going to be A. However, I personally vote B. I think that there's a large population of people that don't spend money in video, and then we have like a minority of whales that spend a lot of money, and then there's like these occasional people that will spend a little bit. I personally would not want to pay early for access. I 100% would choose B every time. I think it's just better for the community.
Wait,
now, as someone who's going to buy it regardless, I'm going to do A. But if I knew ahead of time what it would be, I would choose B. But I don't have an issue with disposable income.
Can we clarify what your B is and what your A is?
Okay, so option A is you pay $60 to get in early.
No. Okay. Maybe we weren't on the same page, Blood. So A for me was the way it is right now.
Because that's how you get to pay $60 to get in.
Huh? No? Wait, no. So Blue said, okay, she presented it as the first option, which is the current state, and then option B was what we were talking about, early access pay. And so that's why I said A or B. So I think we were just on this different pages. You thought B was A, and then you thought,
okay.
Let's
no. I'm 100.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Blonde. Which side are you on?
I 100%. If the option is given to me, I will spend $60 to get ahead of whatever game. If it's a game I'm playing, like I didn't do that for WoW, because I didn't care for the few days early because I only played it when I played with my friends. But like 100%, I'm gonna spend the money. Now, if I had the option to choose, I choose not to have to pay to get early. I'll just play the game as it is. Like I don't want to have to pay to get it early. I just would rather it be, you know, the natural state of the game, whatever.
The current state.
Yeah.
The current state we have right now.
I would vote for that every time, hoping that there wouldn't be a pay jump, because I know and have friends that don't have disposable incomes that can't just spend $60 on a game. I mean, that's why a lot of people play BDOs, because it's like free. Like you pay $3 to $5 whenever it goes on sale, and a lot of the game gives you a ton of stuff. Like you never have to spend $1. This is one of those games that like you always see these people that are like playing games and they never buy a subscription, they never do this, never do that, and BDO caters to that heavily, while also catering heavily to the whales. So I 100% would vote that every time. But I also will play a game where if I'm really, really into it, yeah, I'll pay like ahead. Like, for example, on RuneScape, I pay like the year membership, so I don't have to do like a month to month and all this stuff. Like, I don't want to deal with it. So, but that's because I don't have an issue with it. I truly, I don't like that kind of monetization playstyle, because I feel that's what corrupts these companies to do stuff like that's what's, in my opinion, that's what's absolutely caused Blizzard to go down the trash can, is their the way they do monetization, wild tokens, different stuff like that. Like they've been paying it's been $15 and they've never increased it over the last like what 20 plus years. It's because they were always overcharging what they needed for the game, and they made so much from it. So yeah.
Yeah, so if it was between, look, I hate early access, but if it was between Korea just outright getting it first and then we get it for free later, or everyone gets it at the same time and you can pay $60 to have it a week sooner, I'm gonna pay $60 and have it a week sooner.
You would, I would too. I would pay, but if you had the option before the game, listen, before the game came out, before the game came out, if they said, hey guys, we're about to release this game, but we have two things: you pay $60 to get early access, or our main region gets it first for 2 to 3 months, or you don't pay and you get it when it comes, like 2 to 3 months later. I feel like I don't know. Personally, I would choose to not have to make people pay to want to get early access or whatever, because you're going to want to get that ahead jump. But like I would obviously pay for it. I don't think any of us have an issue with that, but that's because of the positions we're in. I think that as content creators and stuff, we 100% are always going to choose that better option. But yeah, I just, I don't want to make the game go in that direction. Like if we're doing like a poll before the game is released to have this kind of content come out, there's too many people that could experience a game by not having to deal with that monetization.
Yeah, so. I mean, like, I think all three of us are on the same page. And in fairness, I'm not saying that that's the monetization route they should take. I just thought it was an interesting question. I just thought it was an interesting question. Could you imagine
if they started doing that, though?
I think that
BDO's never charged for an expansion or anything. BDO has only ever charged for, like, quality of life.
I think that if they did that, everyone would hail it as a win. That's the crazy thing.
Which is insane, because it's a massive loss.
That's like how crazy it is.
Oh no.
It's exactly what the community was saying. Yes, finally PA listened to their wallets. Like, what are you talking about,
wallets? Dude? Oh my
god. Jay's over here like, wait, that's a good idea. Hold on, write that down.
Wallets.
Oh my god.
It's crazy. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to FOMO, the fear of missing out, which is kind of on the same subject of early release and early access, right? And in this case, I'm curious if FOMO is a good topic because we have this new Berserk, or I guess old Berserk thing coming in, right? The collab thing coming in. And there's a lot of FOMO with the Berserk collab, where like people are gonna feel like, it was around like one time, like 6 or 7 years ago, and then we never got it again, and it was the rarest outfit in the game. I guarantee you there's a lot of people that are going to buy it just because, not because they think it looks cool, but because this is their only opportunity to get it, and they know that, until the game almost dies again, right? So like, do you think that, and honestly, I think that I'm kind of glad that they don't normally do FOMO, because our battle pass sucks. Let's be honest, that Pearl Shop, like Black Spirit Battle Pass thing that we have is complete garbage, basically, every month. Imagine if there was like an exclusive outfit in that every month.
That you could never get again. That came one time.
Yeah.
You would have to buy that every single time.
Or like, not even that, it's just a mask, right?
Or like even bigger fail stacks. Imagine you could buy a 250 or 350 fail stack. That's like really hard to pass up for some people.
The summer glasses, right? They could have just been like, hey, these are some exclusive badass like shades that you can only get through purchasing, like these shades right here. You can only get these shades through purchasing them our battle pass this month. And if you don't get it, you don't get it, right? They could do this a lot more. How do you guys feel about FOMO? I assume that you would not want to see more of this, but like, where else have we seen this in the past, Jay?
So for me, it depends on what the FOMO is. If it's just cosmetic, I'm all for FOMO. So I'm gonna keep mentioning Path of Exile because I've been playing a lot of Path of Exile, but Path of Exile
Really?
does this a lot for FOMO, where every 3 months they have a league, right? And every 3 months for the league they have these exclusive cosmetics, and I just think that yeah, what's it called? Like that I was there, that kind of feeling. Okay, here's an example for World of Warcraft, if that makes it more, connect with other people, since people might not play Path of Exile. But in World of Warcraft, were you there, Blonde Bear, for the? I think it was like the opening of
The opening of the Encourage
That was
gates.
an event, FOMO.
That was
And
an
I'm like,
event.
that would be so cool.
Same thing with the Wrath of the
And
Lich
it
King
kinda
one, where
like-
you could get the
Uh-huh.
death illness and poison people in towns, and zombies were rising in the
Not that
cities, and you had
kind
to
of
kill them. That was awesome.
That was a weird.
That was
people did,
incredible.
actual real time studies for the freaking in game disease. That was weird.
It was
Anyways,
awesome.
But I feel like the FOMO, it depends on what the FOMO is. And so in the World of Warcraft, they have a lot of event FOMOs where you again, the opening of Encourage, or this event that it's a one-time event, that if you were there, you got, you could get this cool item or got a cool experience. Even it doesn't, you don't have to pay for it as well. That's also a form of FOMO. And I feel like if we go in that direction and route, I feel like BDO could create some really cool opportunities. So here's a FOMO from Final Fantasy. So Final Fantasy 14 had a really terrible launch, but then some years later they revamped it, and then how they
Realm Reborn.
Realm Reborn, right? They how they killed it, right? They had this giant meteor that destroyed the servers, and that's how they revamped Realm Reborn. That was the next expansion. So the old servers were wiped completely, and then they had this really cool in-game event that if you were there, you saw this meteor coming down on you, everything died, right? And that's how they did the FOMO. That was really cool. That was a really cool FOMO event. And so again, I feel like that direction could be a really cool way for BDO to create some cool experiences and cool stuff like that, and also cosmetics too would be a real cool way of FOMO. But again, yes, it is a very common tactic in that game developers use as a way to monetize their game, right? And so limited edition skin or cosmetic or item that you can can only get this week. And in this case, the Berserk stuff, I think that's I think I'm fine with that kind of FOMO. Again, it's if the FOMO was oh, you're gonna miss out on the 300 stack, then that's a FOMO of pay to win FOMO, right? So I'm less about that direction, but again, I'm more leaning on the cool experience cosmetics type of FOMO. So I embrace FOMO in that way. But yeah, what do you think, Blonde? What do you think about FOMO?
Yeah, I essentially agree in the core aspect. I think that there's healthy types of FOMO, and I think there's unhealthy types of FOMO. Healthy types of FOMO are BDO's done before. We did the Mysteries of Summer. I think that those are some of the most healthiest ways to do FOMO, because it's a limited, the darkness titles. Every time I see a soul title running around, I'm like, hey, that's a real one. Anytime I see anybody, if they're still around, yeah, anybody with those exclusive titles and stuff, I think that that's really cool. The same thing with the Realm Reborn. I thought that was really cool, making it an in-game event. And if you had some of the collectibles from the original period of time, that's a cool thing. I think those are healthy amounts of FOMO. I think unhealthy FOMO is you also mentioned, the buying a fail stack or maybe over monetization of re-releasing on for example, the Berserk costume, it being an exclusive thing, was cool. The FOMO was there. It's a collab, so they could never return it, right? The fact that they have returned it, I think, is one of the scary elements of FOMO when you buy into it, because you're this is exclusive, just like the shoe dad from the pre-order, and then what did they do a few years later? They re-released it. So your exclusivity doesn't matter. Someone, you have your shoe dad and someone's just going to dye it the same way or whatever, or you have your Berserk costume, you've had it because you're an OG fan, and now all these new people that got into Berserk right before the collab came out, now they look just like you and there's nothing special about you. So I think that for a company that needs money, I mean, sure, that's great for them, and sure, the players are happy temporarily, but I think it kills the original FOMO. When they double up on the FOMO by re-releasing stuff that existed that originally, I think that's the things you don't want to happen to the things that they're FOMOing. Some more, I guess, unhealthy moments of FOMO is the way that, in my opinion, it felt like Lost Ark plays their game with their release content schedules. the content comes out, or at least for example, the first year when it launched on NAEU, the game comes out and you're like rushing all the content and you're like catching up to the raids, and then they release tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. You're running through the content and it's like fun and it's exciting. Okay, but what you didn't know is that like a year later they were gonna like before every single raid tier give you a free battle pass that caught you up to the current eye level so that you could just go and raid with everybody, which is great for those players. But for any of the players that were like trying to rush the content, like it's like, so I could have just not played and caught up to the game. And I think that's sort of what some people feel in BDO now, where it's like, so you're telling me if I just don't play, they're just going to keep giving me, like, eventually I'm going to get a Tet Deboreka when I log in. I got a Pen Black Star. They're going to give me the new Flame for a login reward. I think that those kind of things are, you kill the fear of missing out, because then there's no like rush to go do those things. There is no fear of missing out. You essentially kill FOMO by over FOMOing, I think. But I think there are healthy ways to do it that lead to fun environments in the game and activities and stuff. I think that monetary values like cosmetics, I truly don't care either. But I think when it comes to like actual in-game events where we're participating and doing things, I think those are like some of the more meaningful ones. That's meaningful to the community, essentially, in like a good way.
Right on. Well, I'm curious. Do either of you actually own what is about to be the rarest outfit in the game?
In what game? BDO?
BDO.
The Berserk outfit?
No, it's called the Bugatti outfit.
Oh,
yeah, it will be the rarest one. Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, I'm actually almost
I didn't buy it.
I said, yeah, that's how rare it is. You don't even know what it is. Okay, like I'm just saying. It is literally. I'm about to own.
Else got the carriage and the 4-horse gear Bugatti.
I'm about to own the only Bugatti set left that didn't get immediately dumpstered. Okay. And that's the only thing that made the Bugatti set good, was the fact that it was FOMO, because it's basically garbage. Although the helmet is actually not bad. The helmet looks great. Oh yeah, honestly, the helmet actually looks good. Rest of the outfit is craziness. Is madness. So I'm curious, Blonde, you touched on this a little bit there. So what FOMO is kind of killed because this is kind of a much longer term game. I actually disagree. I think because people want to play this game much longer term, that FOMO hits them a lot harder. I remember in League of Legends when the championship skins came out for the first time, championship Threshes or Riven is a good example. In season 2, I chose not to buy championship Riven when it came out, but like I was gonna play League of Legends really long term, and to this day I still regret not buying championship Riven because it's worth probably $800 now. Because it's that rare. It's not even that good of a skin, right? They've released kind of extra skins since then. I have like Pax Sivir, but I don't have Championship Ribbon. And then everyone bought Championship Thrust because it was all FOMO. I think if you're going to play a game long term and the more invested you are into the game, the higher chance FOMO has of working on you, which makes FOMO extremely predatory in a game like BDO, where like if they say, hey, we're releasing this outfit, but only for the next 15 days, and then it's gone. Players in BDO are like crazy high chance to buy that outfit.
Yeah, 100%.
Crazy high chance.
That's essentially why. Yeah, that's exactly why I think that like there are some healthy FOMO, but when it comes to like stuff like that, I think it can be really bad. Like for example, World of Warcraft, you have like this investment where it's like you've played it for so long. I feel like a lot of people don't play WoW because they really enjoy it anymore. I think they play it because there's like so much time investment that they can't see themselves playing another MMO or investing in anything else, which I felt that way. I mean, I played it for 15 years. I was hardcore. I had all the legendaries. I did all the stuff. I collected stuff. But then there was always like one guy that had one mount that I didn't have that was exclusive or whatever. And then just like kind of at some point I like lost the illusion of like enjoying it as much. And I think that those kind of investments in games, like you miss one event or you miss one special costume, and then you're going to feel like garbage every time you see someone with it because you didn't spend it that one time, or you didn't go get it, or you didn't participate. But then it's also, like you said, it's extremely predatory because then it's like, well, now I have to buy every exclusive thing because I have no idea if I'm going to be able to show it off later in the game or something. I feel like that sort of aspect of like the comparison element in MMOs where you want to like show off your stuff, it feeds into like you wanting to like spend money that you wouldn't probably normally spend on stuff that you probably wouldn't normally buy because you want to, because you want to have that exclusive thing, not even for the fact that it is cool. It's just what it represents is the cool thing. And I think that that can be extremely predatory. I don't like that. I think that it has to be separated from monetization, I think. Or it can be like the battle passes where it's like you can FOMO if you really care about that stuff, but like they're always garbage, so great. Like you don't have to worry about it. You know, those are healthy forms of like that kind of thing, I guess, that where it doesn't really matter and it's not really a big deal. To me, I guess.
Do you think that okay, so we touched on the Black Spirit Pass earlier about how it's like not that good. Is that a good thing? That it's not good?
I think it is.
Oh,
I think that's a good thing.
Oh my god, I don't feel like I have to buy it.
Yeah, could you imagine if you felt like you had to buy it every time? So you're buying that, and then you're buying when you do a new season character, you're gonna want to buy the stuff for the weight and the fail stacks and all that stuff, and to boost your thing. Like I always, every time those things come out, I'm like, oh man, $30. Like, you know, I could just go mow a lawn or two, and that's like $30. That's easy. Like, oh, like that wouldn't be that bad. And then I'm like, no, do you even need any of this? Like, are you gonna use it? Like every time people ask me, oh, do you want the like battle pass for the season pass for the seasonal characters? And it's like, well, if you're gonna spend the money to get those things anyways, it's a good deal. But like, if you're gonna spend it because it's there, that's the trick. Like, you don't need to buy this. You don't need the costume that you're just gonna turn into Krons, because you don't buy costumes for Kron anyway. Like, you don't do that with your money. And like, yeah, you get like an extra mate or two, and you get this and that, and it's like, it's nice, but you don't need to do those things, so you shouldn't spend it. But the concept in your mind is that that kind of tricks you to want to do it, because it's like, oh, you know, it's a kind of a deal. It's like, well, you're not gonna spend that money anyway, so it's actually out of your pocket.
Blonde, let me ask you, why are you still cutting grass for money at the age of 30?
I'm not, but every time one of my friends gives me a weak excuse where it's like, oh, they can't buy some $15, $20 game or whatever, I'm like, bro, just go mow somebody's lawn. I'm personally not mowing a lawn. I pay someone to mow my lawn, but I'm just saying that,
yeah, Blonde, that's what adults
it's as
do.
simple.
Are your friends like 19 years old or 16 years old? What's going on? Who are you friends with?
Yeah, I do have some 19, 20-year-old friends. Listen, gamers come in all ages, ranges, sizes, whatever.
It's fair. It's fair.
What would be like, what is the opposite of FOMO? Is there like a term for the opposite of FOMO?
Yeah, it's called perennials.
So you said,
I think it tied into it with the World of Warcraft thing, where I was saying like FOMO essentially eventually turns into the opposite, where it's like the investment theory, where like or it's tied in some way where it's not the fear of missing out, but you've put so much time and effort into a thing where you're not going to want to get out of it. And it's not because there's something exclusive about it, it's just that you've put so much into it. I feel like that's where a lot of like people are kind of reaching a video too, where like, you know, that's where some people's breaking point over the last month has been, where it's like, you know, I kind of stuck around and I like this game, but I don't know if I want to kick it anymore. So you see all these like, you know, people that probably were done a while ago now quitting now rather than before, because they felt they had the time and investment and everything to keep playing the game. The sunk cost fallacy.
Well, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a sunk cost fallacy as much as it was they still had something that they clung to, that they enjoyed about the game, and now there's nothing that they enjoy about the game, so they can, like, they're letting go. Right, like it takes some time, but they just let go.
Yeah. I think that's what finally broken a lot of them, you know. And then you see more people leaving, so you're like, well, like, I guess we're all getting off the ship. You know what I mean? Like, it's sinking. Yeah.
Which begs the question: what keeps what keeps players playing BDO? What do they typically in the past? What have they done correctly that keeps players playing BDO? Jay, we haven't heard from you in a while.
So for me, for BDO, it's always been the combat system for me. I still feel like there's not an MMO that compares to the combat system in BDO. I've always enjoyed very grindy games as well, like where you can spend and invest a lot of time and work and effort towards a long-term goal. And I feel like the time I invest in, you know, learning something or doing something, whether it be like in-game rewards or getting better at my class, it does feel rewarding to see the results of my efforts. However, at the same time, that very grindy nature, I feel like it also acts like a double-edged sword for some people. Like, it tends to be the same reason for like burning out. It might be viewed as something like very repetitive and monotonous, which can, you know, lead to losing interest and becoming frustrated, or, you know, eventually lead to negative impact over their enjoyment, right, for the game. And I feel like for BDO, there just hasn't been anything, I don't know, like innovative in a while, and it's maybe more of a common feeling among like the veteran players. Like me, I'm a veteran player. I mean, we consider ourselves a veteran player, and, you know, a common occurrence towards the end game of BDO where you get like certain point of progression, right? You grind one spot for an item, you grind the crons, you tap the item until it goes. If it doesn't, go back to step one, right? And if you're a new player, you're kind of discovering all these cool and amazing ways to play the game at the very beginning, which is great. But I think it's like that sort of like maintaining the player engagement over a long period of time that becomes harder and harder as like the game ages. And I think this is why it's important to be like innovating and revamping old ways. And I think for me, it's like, okay, the first wave of Dekia spots was amazing. Like Olin's, Ash Forest, Cyclops, Thornwood Turos. I felt like, oh my god, this is like so cool and stuff. Like I get to grind these older spots as a harder version. And then the following Dekia spots, it just became a lot less interesting to me, like because I've already experienced that. Like they're great and all for rewards. I feel like the tower mechanic, like when they added crescents, right? I think everybody can attest, like crescents right now is giga for money, right? It's insane. But at the same time, it was kind of like a reskinned version of Stars, and there wasn't anything too interesting with the mechanics. You kind of just stood there, and some people like that. Some people like just like a really straightforward, mechanic and stuff like that. Again, the rewards are great, but for me, I've kind of viewed it as a little bit low effort, which makes me feel like, will the future content be of this quality over and over again, right? And I hope not, because they spoke about this like tower climbing arc mechanic in like Mountain of Dawnbreak. They spoke about this like demon lands being this like giant castle that is apparently going to cover the entire continent over Valencia, right? So I'm excited for that, but right now they're just talking about it. So will they do it? I don't know. If they add 20 more tower spots in between now and until that content comes out, I think I'm gonna lose my mind.
Bro, true.
But, yeah, what do you?
Yeah, big truing right now.
I'm a little bit tired of tower spots. So
they're
they're great for like finding a spot, right? I mean, have you guys been having trouble finding a spot for crescents?
On Arsha, yeah. I mean, it's a PvE server, but it's always taken, so I end up waiting in line for hours. Like it's Crescents is fine on a normal server. I can just sit there and grind as much as I want, and like I can find an open rotation. On Arsha, it can be a little bit difficult sometimes because, like, again, I have to sit there and wait for the other players to be finished. But yeah, Blonde, what keeps you playing BDO, bro?
For a long time it was treasure grinding and group grinding. I think that the combat in the first few years was very interesting and fun. After playing WoW for 15 years and other MMOs to like Guild Wars 2 and stuff, I think that the combat was a big thing. I think that's kind of like 8 years now later, it's kind of like not as interesting as compared to rewarding mechanics. I think that BDO had this thing where, you got gear and it felt really good and you felt stronger and you got through grind spots. And over the last like 2 to 4 years, it's felt kind of weird where like your gear doesn't feel like it really matters. And then the balancing issues with so many things about the game is weird. So then my big motivation for a long time was like a third or fourth year was like EXP. Like that was something you could look at the rankings, you could look at the charts. I thought that was cool. I was I was the third like 65 on the server, 64 and 65, and then I was the first 65 Zerker, I think, in like one of the top 5 first 65 Zerkers. That stuff I cared about. And then they introduced AFK dummies, and I kind of lost my motivation to keep doing that because like. People that weren't even working on EXP would just catch up to you if you got busy or wanted to grind something that wasn't EXP based, and that felt kind of weird. So then my interest moved then to treasure items when I started going for gear rather than EXP, and treasure items were really fun. I really, really, really like treasure item grinding. It's like it could drop now, it could drop in 2,000 hours. You have no idea, and that's kind of the fun. And the journey along the way is what keeps you going. Between that and then also like the big crux of my journey has been the merchant ring. I think that the group grinding for Olin's at the merchant ring has been probably the most fun, and it's so incredibly sad to see a successful spot like Olin's then have like nothing follow up. Right? Like everything has been tower spots, single spots. We had Dekia Olins, but that was kind of boring because you're literally limited on spawn rates. So like you can't even innovate it like you could normal Olins. Normal Olins has been innovated at least 10 different times over the last 4 or 5 years. We used to do like it was slow to clear in the beginning, and then then we learned the arm mechanics, the spawn mechanics. We got more gear, more scaling. Then like people were doing the tower manipulations where they would spawn the babies from the towers. Now people do these rotations where they're extra pulling playing extra mobs with like Agris and double loot scrolls, so you're tripling, quadrupling your trash loot
using
way
their
more than you could
horses to
before.
pre-summon minions.
There's
People were also using freaking flame traps. Like they would clear so fast. They would put after they killed the first one, they put a flame trap on the first golem. Then by the time they got back, it would have pre-pulled the first golem.
Yes,
there like ain't no way people are doing that.
There's so
kind
many
of
really
God.
cool, innovative things about that spot, and it's so sad that the last like 2 or 3 expansions when they did like the balls and stuff, when we saw those big ogres for Mountain of Eternal Winter with the spikes on their back, I'm sitting there thinking, oh my god, it's gonna be Olin's 2.0. It's gonna be crazy. They're gonna shoot spikes out of the back. There's gonna be minions and stuff. It's gonna be awesome. And then we get it, and it's a one-time quest. And you never go back. They're not even a killable monster, and it's like, what the fudge, dude? Like, this looks cool, but I don't care about looks. So like, I don't know, I think it's the group grinding and treasure stuff. The fact that we haven't had a treasure since the telescope, even though it's like kind of only been a year, I feel like they got to kind of pump those out a little bit more. There's been like 4 quality of life updates. They could have made the new elixir thing a treasure item where you get like a cauldron and mix stuff into it. I think that like releasing stuff like that's fine, but I think that there's got to be some kind of drive to keep pushing, especially on a high RNG element. I mean, how many streamers and content creators do you see? It's like, oh, Choice went 200 or 300 hours on one telescope piece. Oh, Divios went a few hundred hours on a telescope piece. Like, if they were counting numbers at that point, they probably would have like lost their minds. Like, grinding money in that sense, and I've talked to many people that have, is absolutely mind-numbing. But it's like there's these other underlying motivators that I think make you really excited and stuff. I think there's other things for other people, like PvP, getting gear, feeling those incremental updates. But then like I have friends, like for example, like Justin Case, he was like working on his gear, and I was chatting with him about like he's working on his disto and he's gonna get this and that. And then I end up seeing him play AOS all day, and I'm like, man, like, like he's a real grinder and he's grinding all this gear, and then you just do AOS all day because the rest of the game is absolutely borked. So it's like there's like you have no drive to go and do those things anymore because it has no value over just spamming AOS or something all day. And I don't know, for me there hasn't been a treasure, there hasn't been a group grind spot. And so the new thing that's coming out with the new region is something I'm really excited for. We have the new boss mechanic multiplayer thing where it's like a raid boss where the mechanics actually look really interesting. It's not like, oh, we're all going to boss Zarka and you're going to get one shot from a mechanic you don't understand. And even if you have gear on, you're going to get one shot because there's no balancing correctly in this game. These bosses actually look really cool. So I am excited about that. But it's got to be like we just said earlier, innovative in some type of way. It's got to be something fresh every time, or else I'm I'm not having fun.
I did see what Hugh put out recently. I saw like the rewards for like the new boss system, and they're like giving away full gear and steers for like just doing the bosses with your guild and stuff. So like the rewards are insane, and the whole guild gets rewards if 5 slaves, volunteers, go do it. Everyone else gets rewards and they don't have to do anything.
Yeah, the way that they said it in the ball, and I haven't seen any updates because I'm kind of waiting to experience it, but the way it seemed from the ball is that like the more guildies that run through it, like the more completion rate you have in your guild, you get higher and higher rewards. So like you'd have like a core man of like 3 or 4 people, and then you carry one random and rotate through your guild because then it pushes their rewards as well, right? You get your own individual rewards and you get the guild bonus reward from that. I think that's really cool. I think that's a cool way to push your guild to doing things together, and then you can repeat it. I think that's cool. But like I said, I haven't looked at any of this stuff because, like I said, I'm kind of waiting. But yeah, I think if it's like that, that's really cool, and that is something I'm looking forward to. But like if the rewards are good, that's great. But the rewards are only going to be good in the beginning until it's spammed to ad infinitum, and then the rewards don't mean anything because the value is shot because the supply is massive. So I don't. Yeah, it's cool for a minute, but then what happens? Like I think that's one of the problems where they do this. I don't know what the term. There's a special term for it when you have something that's really exclusive and you absolutely crash meteor the supply demand ratio to, like, that's what happened with Debarekas, right? Debos used to be extremely not even just the rings, all of them. But then they buffed all the drop rates like 2 to 3 times over. They said, oh, we want to get you more rewarding, and that's cool. But then it completely kills the. I understand, and I know everybody's going to freak out. I know the grind can be boring, but there was something fun and exciting about the exclusivity of it. Now, no one's excited about Debos because it's not even exclusive. It's something everybody can just have and buy and get, and that's not fun for anybody. Well, unless you're just goal-oriented, you get your goal done, and then, okay, finally I can log off, I'm done. Like, I guess if that's your mindset, but I think that's pretty unhealthy anyways.
Well, the only reason that they had to do that is because they suddenly required every single player in the game to get devos because that was the best in slot thing.
I think that's a problem too. I don't think they ever should have. I think a 3 set was fine. I think the 5 set was way overboard. I think that the 5 set, it should have been a PvE only bonus so that people that wanted to do that stuff, they could do it, but there was no obligation at all. I think it should have been monster damage or something.
Yeah,
I think it's very silly to pigeonhole everybody into a thing that is like a really long grind, so then people complain, so then you got to expand it. So then, like, not only are you consuming the people that were upset about it, but then you're consuming people that were kind of fine with the rates and liked the long grind. And now it's like, I think just now there's no profit, now there's no money into it, so now it's like you can't even grind it. I mean, I guess you can grind it for profit, but it's people are clicking Debos raw now, which I guess if that's the course of the game so that we don't have to spend crons on it, that's good, but the transition period feels miserable for everybody involved, I think.
So
because it doesn't feel worth doing, right? Sorry.
Okay, so no, you're good. We talked a lot about what kept us playing the game. I am going to very briefly say what kept me playing the game. The thousands of people that rely on me to play the game. It would be a great reason that I play.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate your money. No, seriously though. I love the game because all of my friends play the game. Like realistically, if all of my friends stop playing the game, I'm not gonna want to play the game, right?
Yeah.
Like my solution in the past was to just go make new friends. But like, everyone has like lately it's felt like everybody I know has kind of stopped playing, like even you two. Are either of you logged in right now?
Nope. I haven't logged into BDO in a while.
This is my problem. I have no other friends to make. You know what I mean? Like it's hard.
Even if we were logged in, we wouldn't even have something to do. That's the thing. Is like I'm saying, the group grind. Like, could you imagine if we had a group grind spot and we were doing that while we were doing the podcast? That'd be so fun. In the middle of saying a line, and Jay, look out, nuke! You know, something silly like that.
Nuke, pussy, what are you doing?
None of that can exist because they just
tank it.
Just iframe blue.
Bam!
That would be so cool, and I feel like the new boss thing's gonna be cool, but man, it's been just too long. One of the group grind spots over Ulukita should have been group grind. The Highlands should have been something that you could do together. It's a giant boss mob. Why wasn't it a 3 to 4 man spot where you can sit there and kill those legs each, and then you all fight the body and you got hordes spawning? I don't understand what were they thinking?
I miss so when Odalita, I want to say Odalita release was my favorite moment, like my favorite period of time in BDO was because there's this like Olins, right? When Olins first came out, and it still today is one of my most favorite grind spots, both regular and Dekia, but nobody could grind it. There wasn't. It was like a chase spot, if that makes sense. Like you were gearing up to go to that spot, right? And it took a while for people to start like efficiently grinding it, and I kind of feel like maybe we could do that again. Like we can have that one of those chase spots again.
Stop. We need to their vision, you guys are so one-dimensional. It's actually hurtful. Their vision for this game is we are going to make it more PvE oriented and move away from this PvP. Okay, that's literally their vision for the game. Stop making PvE just another grind spot, dude. Like, we want world boss changing events. We want group PvE raids. We want dungeons. We want actual end game PvE content. Like, if you're going to make your game about a PvE end game and shift away from PvP and you want to keep players playing your game, that's what you need. Okay, there's no way around it. If you want to move away from PvP, you have to give people something other to do than grind around in circles for hours and hours and hours. And that's just the truth. Now, we've talked about this a ton. So I'm just going to ask you guys, as our last topic here, have you heard about this Korean drama?
There's a lot of Korean dramas. My wife watches a lot of them. She's obsessed.
No, I watch a lot of Hugh Hotbar, who is his own Korean drama. But in this case, I'm wondering if you guys have actually seen the Korean drama. I can explain it for you. There is a Kronstone. Well, theoretically, there was a video put out to the public where this guy said that he clicked the Kronstone button, he tapped his enhancement, and the enhancement fails. Okay. but it downgrades. Okay, as if the cron stones didn't actually apply. Now, chat and I did a lot of investigating today on it. Now, this guy puts in a support ticket, and do you know what Perlibus told him? They said, well, do you have a video of it happening? And he says, sure, I've got a video. And he sent them a video. Okay. Then Perlibus said, okay, we'll refund it to your account and we'll reverse it, blah, blah, blah. Then Perlibus comes out, a day or two later and says, actually, we're not going to give you your stuff back. We're waiting because we're investigating this. Okay. So now he's all upset. So he posts on Invent and says, Perlibus is essentially not giving me my stuff back. This is a bug, blah, blah, blah. There are a lot of people that are on both sides of the fence in this drama, and that some think it's a legitimate bug with cron stones and the sovereign weapons, or just like in game and enhancing. And other people think this guy is scammazing or attempting to scam thousands of people. Let me pull this up. Actually, I have it right here. Okay, so this is a video of it happening. Right. Let's go to the start of the video. Okay, so this is a video of it happening. Okay. I'm actually gonna mute Hugh here. I'm gonna get rid of this. Okay, so you can see on the right side, he actually he mouses over, and this is like you know what? I'll let it play first. Okay, so he puts the weapon in there, clicks the crown button, and at first he realizes it's the wrong weapon, so he takes it out. Puts the other weapon in.
Oh, the cron button was still selected, but it wasn't actually.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bug. Does it take the crons?
It did not take the cron stones. However, I investigated the shit out of this video. Because we all know people try to scamaz people on the internet. Let's run this back one more time. So, number one, when the mouse goes over his weapons on this left side, you can see there's a small blip where his mouse suddenly floats to the bottom of the screen. Okay. Also, notice the fail stack is 376 at current point. Okay. Mm-hmm. This is also not clicked. Okay. This cron thing is not clicked. Okay. So he's going to put the weapon in here. He's going to click the cron button. Then he's going to take the weapon out. 376 is still the fail stack. He takes the weapon out. All of a sudden there's this blip. Wait, right there. Did you see the mouse go down? All the way down here, out of nowhere for a moment. And it's weird because see, now the fail stack is 366. The cron button is lit up with nothing in the enhancement window. Uh-huh.
So it was edited.
Yeah, it's definitely well edited. Okay. And I tested this all day.
Wow.
I tried to get this button lit up with anything. I tried it all day. Okay. We went through Choice tried it too. Choice was like showing things as well. And it does work for accessories. You can get this to light up and everything for accessories, but you can't click the enhance button. Right? At no point can you actually click the enhance button with this clicked and have the cron stones, at least that I was able to try. And so what this guy is trying to say is that it blipped because he's showing us the edited version and he gave Perlibus the unedited version. But I have a few questions. Number one, why would you edit the video? Why wouldn't you just release the normal video? A. B, why edit it in this way? Why be deliberately deceptive? If there actually is a bug, why would you edit it like this? Right? It starts at 366, and then he fails to tap to 376. No. Okay, because he's gonna click it right now. No, here's the click. Okay, watch the fail stack. Boom. Now it's 376. Now it's 376. And the weapon is downgraded. Okay. 366, 376. This is before the tap. This is before the tap. Okay. Okay. All right. So, like, I'm just saying, I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are on this. Do you think there actually is a bug in the game? Personally, I think it's kind of 50-50 whether or not there's actually a bug or not. Could this guy be telling the truth? Very unlikely in this particular case. But there could be a bug because, as Hugh Hotbar points out, when he puts this in the enhancement window, you'll notice that the warning, normally there's some yellow text here that says can't downgrade because of cron stones. And there's no yellow text there, which is in fact strange, right? There's that is strange. And it is possible that there's a bug in the game. However, this guy looks like he is scamming a tremendous amount of people. I'm curious what you guys think about it.
I'm just curious if the weapons post level 7 act like accessories, but that we would know about that, right?
Why would acting like accessories be any different? Oh, you mean just because it downgrades?
Because they can downgrade even if you're cronning it, but you don't delete it, right? But I don't think they work like that because that would have been a big like news thing. I mean, I feel like everybody would be talking about that because like we've already mathed out getting a like 7 and 8, so it feels weird. That is odd, but the weapons are new, so it's like I can't really say. It does look weird that the stuff is like the cron button's still selected, and it's
really weird,
looks like it's still using the crons.
Yeah.
I think it looks more like a bug than anything. I think what you think is like the clip it being edited is Hugh watching and reversing to the beginning of the clip again, because it resets the fail stack back to the 10 before it hits, and then he sits and clicks the weapons in the fail stack, and he looks at them and he's like, what the, looking at the number again. That's what it looks like, but it looks like it's like a bug because I mean the cron stone isn't highlighted, but the button is selected, so what would you have to unselect and then reselect? But I think it's probably just a new weapon with the bug.
Yeah,
right?
So the question is, so we watched the original like video that has comments on it that are like, why is there a blip over your weapon? Why does your mouse blip down and stuff? So like they're talking about it in the original clip about how it looks like why the hell is this lit up, right? Like this shit's just not lining up. I think that there very well could be a bug, but this guy has edited this clip to make it unreadable for us. Okay, I think it's unusable for us. I think that Pearl Abyss's handling of this situation is a complete disaster. Yeah, complete disaster. Pearl
It's
Abyss,
very awkward.
Yeah, Pearl Abyss literally asked for, instead of just checking the logs, when the guy said there was a bug, I used crons, but it didn't work. Instead of literally just checking the logs, they asked him for a video. Like every play, and if they hadn't had a video, they'd have just said, sorry, out of luck. You know what I mean?
Can't they like see if someone select? Like I mean,
Correct.
yeah. I mean, we've seen people accidentally click stuff, but they can see if someone has it selected or not. But with video evidence, it does seem kind of sus that maybe on the game side it would say that the cronstone's not clicked because they removed and then reset in the gear. So like maybe on the server side it doesn't, but like in the game itself, it's a visual bug that looks like the cronstone's clicked, but it's not. Because I'm not gonna lie, I've definitely been fooled a few times where I'm like thinking I'm clicking something, I didn't click it, and I'm like, oh frick, I didn't click the cron button. But yeah, it being like weirdly edited kind of makes it sus.
It is giga sus. There's a here. This is from the beginning.
I don't know why they wouldn't just investigate it and not say anything though. Like give it back, whatever, fix it because he sent the stuff. But don't like take it back and say, hold on, wait. We let some like low B guy look into this. We're gonna let the higher ups look at this. Like why not just like investigate it and then come back after you do the investigation and say, actually, we are taking it back because this was all messed up.
Like there's no excuse for this right here. There's no excuse for this to be lit up like this. You can
I think that's a visual bug with the new weapon. That's what it looks like.
You can click it and do this, but like, yeah, right. Like it's a question is the new weapon bugged at higher fail stacks like this? And you can't get this to light up without anything in the enhancement window. You just can't do it. You legitimately, you just like I've tried with everything in the game. I've tried with dandies, black stars, accessories. Like you can't get this thing. It always goes dim. It's crazy.
Yeah, I wonder if because the new weapons are like in the same subcode of like a new thing that's not like Black Store or Boss Weapon or whatever, that like it considered it maybe the same weapon when you removed it and put it back in. So that's why the icon was still like highlighted for some reason. And then there, I mean, I don't know how the coding of this stuff works, but it seems like that's I say like logical thing. It's like, oh, it considered it the same weapon, so the button was still highlighted when you re-entered the gear, and because it's a new thing that I don't know, they forgot to code the visual effect of the cron button unclicking, even though it wasn't clicked, because you could see the cron stone's not highlighted even though the button was selected, which means it wasn't using it.
Yeah, well, the lesson is not to double check your crons before clicking. Players should not have to like make sure that like the click and unclick
you should
their
be able
crons.
to trust
It's not
the
on the
game.
player. Yeah,
Yeah.
you should be able to trust the game. So like this shakes the player's confidence in the game, but more importantly, it shows that Prolibus once again is not actually looking into its support tickets. Most importantly, with this whole drama, whether you believe it or not, is kind of irrelevant. You look at how support handled this problem. They asked for a video of the situation. The guy provides a video out of thin air, whether he recorded it or not, you know, like whether it's edited or not. He provides a video. Then they literally say, okay, yeah, we'll give you your stuff back. And then immediately turn around and go, you know what? We're not going to do that. We're going to investigate first. Well, why wouldn't you just investigate immediately? It shows that it shows.
Well, they probably on a glance
lack.
looked at it and they saw, oh yeah, everything checks out. But then, like you said, when you look at it a little, when you really look at it, you're like, But yeah, I don't think they. I'm like, I don't know what intern solved that ticket, but they did not look at the logs.
Yeah, logs.
They're like, oh, well, this video looks good. We're good, right, guys? Like some min-wage intern, like just answering random tickets. Yeah, everything's checking out. But like again, like I was saying, I don't know why they wouldn't just investigate it outside and not say anything. And then once they've come to because PA does this weird thing where they do one thing, they make a judgment, then they completely change their mind. It's like, bro, why not just make the judgment like in secret? Go investigate it. Once the investigation's done, then come public. Don't like do one thing, then reverse it. Like, this is like the third or fourth time they've done something, then reversed it, and then the community flips out. It's like, what are you thinking?
Right. Yeah, I mean, like I don't understand. Like, this cannot be the first time this has happened in the history of the world. This cannot be the first time someone has claimed that the cron button didn't work and that they had it clicked and stuff.
Claimed for sure.
Yeah.
Actually happened? I don't know.
Correct. But like, see, they have to have the logs. You can't tell me they don't have logs for this kind of things. If it happens, it's happened many times.
New intern on the job.
past.
The trainer was in the bathroom. They thought they'd solve one ticket real nice and easy, or maybe they had their buddy put their ticket in. Yeah, record it. Send it in real quick. He's in the bathroom. Hurry up.
I think I remember there was another I don't know if you would call it drama or debacle in the past where, do you guys remember when cups first came out? There was this bug.
There was the bug and exploit. Yeah.
If you use like it was like the upgraded like the Night Fallen like base or whatever. It just had like a higher rate rather than, I don't know if that's how it actually went, but there was some sort of weird, if you use the upgraded version when you were like enhancing from like Pry, Duo, or Try, and then someone hit a pen and then they took it back. Do you guys remember that? And they I guess they just, they gave like the fail stacks back.
I do remember that bug.
Yeah.
Now I remember it.
I can't remember who it happened to,
because
but
they had cups on their shit, right? Like, like that was crazy. So it could be a bug. And I said that when I went over the video, but like
they've had enhancer bugs before.
That guy, bro, you can't submit videos like that, bro. It just makes everybody think that you're lying. He looks like he's scamming, bro. To me, it looks like he's scamming, bro. Like, I can't get that cron button to light up like that. The fail stacks, maybe Hughes rewinding the video, right? But like, unlikely. First of all, given how the video plays out. A, B. Again, the cron button's lit up, and it should not be lit up when nothing's in the enhancement window. We can't get that to happen. And before you say Korea can do that, we actually investigated a video where Korea also couldn't get that to happen. So like,
even with the new weapon?
They didn't test the new weapon. They tested it with accessories.
Yeah.
I'm like, why would you not put a sovereign weapon in, bro? We want to know.
Yeah, I think the new weapon that's the only thing unique specifically about it that kind of ties me over.
You have to replicate it exactly.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I said. I was like, so it's really impossible with the information we have to thoroughly say that this is a bug or not without having the logs, right? But this guy, bro, if I'm Perlibus and I don't have the logs, I'm not giving his stuff back. Because that video, if that's the video I see, because that video is too sussy. That video is giga sussy. Like,
yeah, because you could like just pause the edit
Yep.
take a clip of the cron button and
Yep.
put it there. But
Yeah.
the fact that it was de-highlighted after the click and after the thing was out, that's what kind of ties me over to it being a visual in-game bug.
Yeah.
There's like one missing 0 or 1 somewhere
Weird.
that basically says make sure to uncheck the box as well, because it's not highlighted, the cron's not highlighted, the line of crons isn't highlighted, but the button just has the check mark in it, and
Right.
that's the problem.
All right. Well, we are now out of time. I just want to see your thoughts on that was, because everybody's really split on it, whether
That was interesting.
he's
Yeah.
lying or not. You know what I mean? It's kind of like this big thing, and everybody's on the we hate career, or like the we hate career, we hate Pearl Abyss hype train. There's- oh my god, saved. So like everybody wants to get on the we hate Pearl Abyss hype train, but I'll be honest with you, their handling of the situation is terrible as usual when it comes to sport tickets like this.
Unfortunately, usually. Yeah.
Yep. And so let's do closing thoughts here. Let's start with Blonde Hair.
Closing thoughts. Yeah, I'd like more group grind spots, more treasure items, please. FOMO can be good and bad. More stuff to do, please. I'm bored.
Yeah.
Twitch.tv/BlondeBear.
Right on. Chat said the fact that it is no longer yellow after he fails and only after he hovers over the weapon is super sus. Yeah, like there's all kinds of sussy stuff going on in that video. Like I could sit here all day and show you all the different things, but like, yeah, those are just a few of them. Jay, go ahead.
Closing thoughts is I think early access can be a good thing in specific situations, and bad things in other situations. I think FOMO, I like the idea of FOMO as more of like an experience thing rather than like a monetary thing. And yeah, you can find me over at twitch.tv/JakeandVT, V before the Z.
Right on. And before I do my outro, as is tradition, which outfit is the best? Do you guys like the most? Hold up.
The bald squadron one.
This guy or the other guy?
Both.
You're an
Oh my
idiot.
god.
You're an idiot.
Both.
You're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. Berserker's not right at all. He actually doesn't have a penis. We inspected before. It's not realistic.
Whoa.
Oh my god, never mind. It's huge. Okay, so
my
blonde.
God.
Which one? Oh, so blonde. We got you. Jay, which one's your favorite?
So if you turn around, I think there's there's like a warrior in red.
He's kind of he's kind of gaming.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Which one is that? Which outfit is that? Is
That
it the Black Knight outfit?
I don't know. I think so. I think that is the Black Knight outfit. I need Jesus. Okay.
Oh my god. Jesus.
I had a Christian hotline open while I was listening to you guys talk about the podcast. It was crazy. My favorite guy is not here anymore. There's a guy dressed in white. He had like white robe. Oh no, here he is, right here. This guy. This guy's a unit. I love this guy. The red with the white looks so sick.
Oh,
Big fan. Big fan.
That's a K-pop star. Damn.
Yeah, I also love the glasses too. Big fan. Absolutely killed it. Plus, I'll be honest with you, there are a lot of girls here. This is insane. We had a lot of female characters. I had to ask for more male characters to show up because it looked like an OnlyFans convention. Like, it was insane. How many characters we had here. But I am Blue Squadron. There's always something going on my channel. There's always 2 new YouTube videos every day. So you guys can always check those out. We're going to do the pass note rundown next after the podcast here. So stay tuned for that. We might be trying Final Fantasy soon or something. I don't know. We were discussing it earlier. But yeah, play a lot of BDO, play a lot of other games, do a lot of chatting, just chatting stuff as well. From all of us here at the Old Moon Podcast. Oh, by the way, one more thing. You guys said you like Mysteries of Summer. Are you guys doing any of my riddles?
I don't think I've had the chance to, no.
Oh my God, Blonde just said, "Who are you?" Man, that was rough.
I'll have to take a look. I do love a good puzzle.
That's rough. Well, the Dark Knight statue one will come out. If you don't solve any of the next 5 or any of these 5, I'm going to release the DK statue riddle. Because Mysteries of Summer, my own version of Mysteries of Summer is going on right now. If you don't know, it's for the Renaissance Fair.
Oh.
The Renaissance Fair has a music festival aspect. It has an art festival aspect, a fashion show aspect, a cosplay aspect, and the Mysteries of Summer, right? So the Mysteries of Summer, I'm releasing riddles to people, and if you get them right, at least the first 5, you got $50 US, and you got early access to the final riddle, which if you solve, you get a Dark Knight statue mailed to your house. And these 5, you don't get the $50, but you still get early access to the DK statue. After these 5 are done, I will release the final riddle in early access to those players that have solved one of the initial riddles. They will have 3 days, 72 hours exactly, to solve it. If they don't solve it, I will release the final riddle to everyone, and everyone has a chance at the DK statue. Early access. Yeah, but it's not pay to win early access. It's like you have to just earn it. Anyway, the riddles are really cool. They force you to go out and engage with the world and like notice things that you've never noticed before and go on little quests and stuff. It's actually pretty cool. I'm having a tremendous amount of fun with it. You guys should try it. I love you guys. I love all of you. From all of us here at the Old Moon Podcast, have a great rest of your week.